Dowd, and a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I give credit to the Honourable Member for Grantham and Stamford for securing the debate, and indeed the Minister. It's always a pleasure to see my honourable friend responding, who must get tired of the understanding that every time we have a pensions debate, everyone comes in and says, auto-enrolment has been wonderful, and things that the government is doing are outstanding, but we could always do more. And I think we're always asking for more, which is the way of things, and I think he's come to appreciate that over time. As everybody else has done, I shall pay tribute to the Honourable Member for North West Durham and his private member's bill, which, when I read back through it last night, actually had many of the things that I already wanted to cover. So I shall be very, very brief, which will please everybody no end. But I'm just going to mention three particular points, if I may, that hopefully the Minister can cover in his comments later on. I want to mention excluded people, as mentioned by my honourable friend from Sedgefield. Someone earning £9,000 in two different jobs wouldn't be enrolled despite having £18,000 worth of income, and clearly would otherwise have qualified. As mentioned by my honourable friend from Norfolk and indeed Clwyd South, mine is also a very rural constituency, and we have lots of people in these circumstances. So as simple as taking away that £10,000 qualifying point would be a real benefit to those people. We look at under-22s. As a financial advisor and a pensions advisor for a decade and a half, one of the key things that we always said was start early. The member for Strangford mentioned it earlier on. Start as early as you can. You know, an extra 5 years will add somewhere in the region of 26 to 30% to the end value of a pension pot. The member for Kilmarnock and Loudon in an intervention earlier on used those golden words of compound interest. It is, you know, the thing that makes so much of a difference is those extra years at the start make such a huge difference coming to the end. It's particularly relevant in my personal situation. My daughter is 17 years old, and as was mentioned earlier on by one of my colleagues here, has decided that university isn't for her and has gone into full-time work, but isn't being auto-enrolled. Of course, she can opt to be enrolled when she gets to 18, but still the amount of people who will do that, as the member for Norfolk mentioned, it's easy when it's done for you. It's harder to opt out than to opt into something. So completely appreciate that. The second point that I want to make is around qualifying earnings. People may well be under the illusion that if you are earning £30,000 a year, then you are contributing 8% of £30,000, which is not sadly the case, because the lower earnings limit, which is £6,240, is taken off before that 8% is calculated. So actually, someone earning 30 grand is only actually paying 8% of 23,760. Making a change to getting rid of the lower earnings limit and making pension contributions start from zero, Mr. Dowd, would add another 26% to the final value of a pension pot by the time people come to retirement. So just those two changes of making it available to the under-22s and making it count for all earnings would add both 29 and 26% to the final value of a pot. It's a huge amount. It's a huge, huge difference. My final and very simple point is one about complacency risk. It has been transformative. My honourable friend from Grantham and Stamford used those words. It has been transformative in terms of the numbers, and we've all heard the statistics. But has it? 8% is not enough. It's not enough. Even if it was 8% of all earnings. My cousin is a financial advisor over in America. And I've talked over many, many years to him about how I did my processes and how I worked out how much people should save and the calculations and the risk levels and all of the interesting bits that go into forming a conclusion. And he said, I don't do any of that. He said, I just tell people 20%. Just do 20% and you'll be fine. Now, he advises people of relatively high net worth, and 20% is a relative amount to different people. But 8% just isn't going to do it. And we have this complacency that because the government have mandated that it would be 8%, people will think, well, that must be okay then. That must be what I need to do, and that's going to get me a good standard of living in retirement. You know what? For somebody who is earning £30,000 a year, taking off the qualifying earnings part, they will be contributing over 35 years. They'll be contributing, £1,900 a year, assuming 4% growth. They'll have amassed a pot of about 140 grand over 35 years, which doesn't sound a terrible amount, but when you adjust that for inflation, in today's prices, that's a pot of about £86,000. That's not going to buy you a lot in retirement. So this is where those two other things that I mentioned earlier on will come in and add, 29% and 26% to that pot, whilst still not being a massive amount and enough to get people to where they need to be. It's certainly something. But we mentioned earlier on, and I spoke about personal responsibility. People need to understand and go and see a financial advisor and take guidance that's available from the Money and Pensions Advisory Service. It's not enough, and people need to wake up and open their eyes that what we're doing is great, but we could absolutely be doing more. There are a couple of possibilities of how we could do more. Back when we had defined benefits pensions, the employer would pay about £3 for every £1 that the employee paid, which was unaffordable, and this is the main reason why most defined benefits pensions were closed down. But before auto-enrolment, the defined contribution schemes that existed then, employers were paying about £2 for every £1 that employees paid. Now it's about 60 or 70p. There's a lot more scope. And whilst I talk about personal responsibility, there is a lot more scope for employers to actually be doing a lot more than they currently do, back to how they used to before. Another potential option is I wonder whether we might be able to roll the principle of auto-enrolment forward into other savings options. Why can't we have an auto-enrolment ISA? Why can't we have, one of those things that would potentially talk about the thing that the Honourable Member for Grantham and Stafford was mentioning about saving for a deposit for a house? Why can't we use the same principle in other arenas? And as a final point, why can't we indeed make pensions a little bit more flexible, as they are in, I talk about the States again, their 401k product, that can be utilised in a lot more ways a lot sooner, so that could potentially provide the deposit for a house, or that could be used in particular lifestyle times, crucial areas. So there are lots and lots of things that we can do. So in summary, it's a bit of a sandwich of a nice opening and a nice ending and a little bit of a demand in the middle. We're doing wonderful things. It has been successful. Everybody says it's been successful. We can do more, we probably should do more, and I think the Minister knows it.
Thank you.